Welcome to Cannabiz New York. In each episode, you'll get a behind-the-scenes look at the cannabis business. Two leaders in the industry tell all, Elizabeth Case and Jerry Kremer, from the law firm of Ruskin Moscow Feltacek. You can find this show at www.rmfpc.com and on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Now, here are the hosts of Cannabiz New York, attorneys Elizabeth Case and Jerry Kremer.
Hi, viewers. Jerry Kremer and my partner, sidekick, and fellow sufferer, Elizabeth Case, is opposite us. And it's been a while since you've seen us, but today's a very exciting opportunity. You've heard about cannabis licensing. You've heard about cannabis problems in New York, cannabis lawsuits, but you haven't heard about the Cannabis Museum. Now, we just discovered that there is such a thing as a cannabis museum, and we are very excited to see its executive director and listen to her and get the real story behind Cannabis Museum. So, Liz, why don't you introduce our guest?
Well, I'm so happy to see you, Golda. We're just newly getting acquainted, but I am, I have so many questions to ask you about how you got into the space and what is it about the cannabis culture that really you most enjoy, and what is sort of your favorite aspect of the Cannabis Museum?
So first, Golda, do us a favor. Tell us a little bit about Golda, okay?
Awesome. So, yeah, thank you again for having me. I grew up in San Francisco. The cannabis industry has always been kind of in my backyard and very, near and dear to my heart. And as the industry started legalizing, in late 2017, 2018, I had always been, around it and adjacent to it. And then, I went to work for a company as they legalized. Urbana in San Francisco. They're actually a very successful dispensary now. And that just kind of really instilled my love for the plant and for the culture, and, just it being part of San Francisco, the San Francisco birthright almost, it just kind of stuck. And then going to high school in New York, there was always this, bridge of, California grows the best cannabis. New York is the biggest consumer of cannabis. And there was always this marriage of New York and California. And then as, the industries started becoming more mature and legalizing, and now, in New York, we have 23 dispensary licenses. We realized that as a museum, culturally, to position the museum as a cultural center describing, the history of what the cannabis industry is, and has been coming from, an illicit, let's go smoke a joint in an alley, to now we're an actual industry with, the medical side coming in, and, and we just wanted to be, really a cultural center to showcase all of that.
And really, what better place than New York, right? Where there's so much cultural foundation, and so on any corner there might be another museum highlighting something very special and unique about New York. So tell me how you got started at the Cannabis Museum, and what is it that makes this a special landmark destination for tourists and New Yorkers alike?
So when the initial concept of the Cannabis Museum started, coming around, I had heard about it around a year and a half ago when I was still living in California. And the owner of the building, or of the project, reached out, and he was like, we want to be a cultural center in New York. We don't know what we're doing. Help us. And I was like, okay, let's go apply for a hemp license at the time. And let's make one of the exhibits a, grow. And so we ended up applying for a hemp license. We're actually one of the only hemp licenses. We are the only hemp license in Manhattan. And we built out, a show grow. And then they brought on the experience designers from Disney. So we started really looking at edutainment, right? How could we do education through entertainment? And, through like our cannabis exhibit takes you from seed to sale of the cannabis plant, right? From a baby plant to a mother to the whole stage, it's grown, to further explaining terpenes and the individual, profiles. So it's been a very interesting, journey through that.
So what I'm hearing from this description is there's a lot of science and background in this. Do you also highlight the culture that surrounds cannabis?
Definitely. Yeah, no. And, we partnered with the Drug Policy Alliance to really showcase, the effects of the war on drugs over cannabis over the past forever, and that's a huge part of our initiative here, is that, we really want to be a place for the industry that we could be working with companies like the Drug Policy Alliance, and Lead for Warriors and the Last Prisoner Project, and really bringing, a lot of those things in. And yeah.
Do you have exhibitions that are, or exhibits that are, sort of steady in the museum? And then do you also have visiting exhibitions?
Yeah, so we have, like, our cannabis exhibit is a study exhibition. And then I would say probably most of them are steady. And then we're looking, actually, in the next 2 to 3 months, we're going to actually do a really cool launch with some new exhibits that we're working on.
So where is this wonderful museum located, and how and when can we go?
So we're located on Broadway in Howard, and we are open 6 days a week, from 11 a.m. to 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. And yeah, we'd love to have you.
How many floors are occupying that building? Yeah.
We're a 4-story building, and actually in the next little bit we will be launching our lounge, which should be very exciting. And yeah, we're 4 exhibits currently. We're 4 floors, 10 exhibits currently, and it's going to be very cool.
Can you describe some of the exhibits that you have in the building so that we can give our viewers a chance to get an inside story?
Yeah, so, speaking a little bit more to the culture, music and cannabis obviously goes hand in hand, and we really understand that. And one of our exhibits is a very interactive exhibit where, you can lay down on a turntable that plays 16 songs that have been inspired by cannabis. And it's one of our, coolest kind of exhibits currently. And we're working on, a lot of really cool initiatives to bring in, local New York artists and local New York, cultivators and legacy operators who have been, pillars in New York for a while, to really showcase, the history of that. And yeah, we're excited to work with more New Yorkers.
Any other floors you want to tell us about? Or what's planned?
So we're really excited about launching the lounge. In the next little bit, we will be launching the lounge, and we're actually opening a sushi restaurant in the lounge, which is going to be very cool. It's going to be one of the first cannabis-friendly consumption lounges. And so that's something we're really looking forward to. And then actually Currency, who is a big, artist, he took over one of our exhibits, and it's a very, interactive exhibit, which we're going to be doing a lot of really cool initiatives with Currency and that group.
Sounds amazing.
Go ahead, Liz.
Well, I was just going to ask, how does one know about your events? Do you have an Instagram page, or do you have a big social media presence?
Yeah, so we're actually, ramping up more now on social media. We've actually taken the past 3 months to really figure out, especially as the industry there's been, stops with the injunction in New York. We really have taken the past 3 months to really figure out, what does 2024 look like? How do we position ourselves as, a support to all the people that are going to be opening and ready? And so that's something we're really, really looking forward to, and also how do we position our exhibits in a way where we work with a lot of these new, license holders and, businesses that are going to be coming onto market. So that's why, and you can find us, on Instagram. We'll be posting a lot of events, and we'll be ramping up on marketing.
There's so much opportunity in 24. I mean, that's all I hear about when I'm outside of my office, not doing applications for our various clients, trying to have different businesses in the space. The consumer market is very excited, but I think New Yorkers as a whole are really coming around to the idea. What do you hear from your perspective? Do you hear a change in the attitudes of the community?
Definitely. I think, it's been a really interesting, few months in, I guess, the industry as a whole. And that's really what we're excited about is, as hopefully in the next few weeks, more operators come online and we're able to, work with a lot more brands in the industry, hopefully, everything goes really well and we can position properly.
One of my favorite things to do when I'm in a museum is visit the gift shop. Do you have one?
Yes, we have a gift shop. You can pretty much purchase everything to do with cannabis besides actual cannabis, which we're really excited about. And, our gift shop is something we're currently working on and constantly changing over and looking for new cool products we could add. And yeah, we're really excited about that as well, and to kind of update the world about cool initiatives we're going to be doing with that.
Yeah, Golda, before we forget, tell us where the Cannabis Museum is located.
Yeah, so we're actually like right in the heart of SoHo, on Broadway and Howard. We realize that, SoHo is the Lower East Side SoHo financial district. It's kind of the heart of New York. And we love it here.
So what's the age group that you've been attracting up to now?
So for the actual exhibit, it's 18 plus. And so if members want to come into the lounge, they have to be 21 plus.
So
and
do you
then
have any
under 18 accompanied by a parent.
So your vision, of course, is to be a year-round tourist attraction.
Definitely.
And I'm sure you welcome visitors, as well as people who are in the business to join you, and you'll be happy to give them a personal guided tour.
Definitely. Yes.
So,
yes. I'd love to welcome anyone that, wants to come have a tour. And that's our goal, is to be, a tourist destination for tourists to really understand the education of the cannabis industry, and then a pillar for actual industry people, in New York.
do you have a board that's running the operation?
We do have a board.
Okay. So you're a not-for-profit?
No, we're not a not-for-profit.
You're for-profit company. Okay.
Yes.
Liz?
I'm sure that the OCM is very happy to have you on board, because the idea of interfacing with the public and offering education is one of the sort of missing links in all of this. So it seems at this point of cannabis reform. Do you have literature and reading materials for your visitors?
So that's something, I love that question. It's something we're very actively working on, is, education programs and initiatives, to working off our current exhibits and the new exhibits that we're going to be doing, is how do we take our, drug policy exhibit or our cannabis exhibit, and how do we make that in a way that's consumable and digestible to a tourist that walks into our building and just wants to know, what's going on. So that's something we're really looking forward to.
It sounds great.
I think this is an exciting opportunity for New Yorkers to learn something about the cannabis, history. I think a lot of people really don't know much about cannabis, especially because of, it's new to New York State. So, you're performing an educational function. You're performing, an opportunity for businesses, if you will, to, be a part of something that shows the positive side of what they're doing. And I think the idea of a cannabis museum really was brilliant. And I'm sure you're looking forward to a long tenure there, where you can, if you will, do a big educational job in New York City.
Definitely. No, and, just speaking to, we hope to work with OCM, eventually to really create educational initiatives and really be a pillar for them and everyone.
And how are you getting your message out?
So in 2024, we're planning on ramping up a big marketing initiative, with social media. Hopefully you'll see us on billboards and on taxis. It's definitely something we're really excited to do. And then, through our educational programs and partners that we'll be working with, we hope to have, a lot of more marketing and messaging coming out.
I see you're sitting in a beautiful space with this gorgeous light fixture behind you. It would strike me that this is an event space. Is this where the sushi bar is going to be, or is this a different space?
Yes, this is where the sushi bar is going to be. It's going to
rent it out. Can you do private functions at the museum?
Yes, you can do private functions, and that's a lot of what we want to be able. That's a lot of what we want to be able to offer the industry is private events, and being a safe space for the industry to gather.
Well, as a person who's attended an event in that space, it is absolutely spectacular, filled with beautiful design and furniture, and it's a very sophisticated, nice place to spend an evening. So I'm sure it will be rented out more nights than not.
Well,
yes.
Golda, we want to thank you. For joining Cannabiz. We want to assure our viewers that this is an opportunity that they should take advantage of. If you've been curious about the cannabis industry, it's worthwhile going. And if you want to know more about cannabis and the fact that, it's good for New York in a lot of ways, the museum is the place to go. And Liz and I want to wish you good luck as you move forward and keep us advised of, changes you're making. And we'll be happy to tell our viewers more about it. So, Liz, any other questions?
Just one last thing. Do you have a website handy for our podcast listeners?
Yes, THCNYC.com.
Terrific.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for having me. And I'd love to have you guys come for a tour whenever works best.
We'll be happy to. And thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been tuning into Cannabiz New York with your hosts Elizabeth Case and Jerry Kremer from the law firm of Ruskin Moscow Faltacek. You can find the show about updated cannabis insights at www.rmfpc.com and on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Thank you for your positive feedback, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others. The information presented by Ruskin Moscow Faltacek PC cannot be copied or rebroadcast without consent. This podcast is made available by the lawyer or law firm for educational purposes only, as well as to give you general information and a general understanding of the law, not to provide specific legal advice. By using this podcast, you understand that there is no attorney-client relationship between you and the podcast publisher. This podcast should not be used as a substitute for competent legal advice from a licensed professional attorney in your state.